How can it be offensive if it's true?
Okay, first of all, I'm not 100% in love with your tone right now.
Tone aside, historically, you guys have struggled to adapt.
Yeah, right. Walking upright, discovering fire, inventing the wheel, laying the foundation for all mankind. You're right. Good point. Sorry we couldn't get that to you sooner.
Connie, your reaction?
Sounds like someone woke up on the wrong side of the rock.
You're listening to TV Ate My Dinner. My name is Sean, and I am sitting here with Greg and Brooks.
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, y'all?
Don't everybody jump in all at once. This is episode 13, and we're going to do a little talking tonight about how commercials are becoming the new entertainment. In the short attention span of today's society, 30-second entertainments are the new rage, and commercials are becoming that thing. We're going to talk about that a little.
I'm going to try to maybe try to sell you some products while
In
we're
fact,
at it.
yes.
Everything we'll be mentioning tonight, we get a cut from. So just full disclosure.
Could I interest you in a Netflix account while we're pushing Netflix every week and getting nothing for our trouble?
Yeah, really. We need to talk to those guys because we really do pimp them out.
We do. Like, every week I'm like mention movies and give ideas and nothing.
I know they're going to want a piece of the 30 or 40 people that listen to us.
Yeah,
they're going to
really.
want some of that action.
Well, don't they give you referrals for prescriptions? Come on, we should be getting a little revenue. I should be getting a free rental a month at this rate. I got more out of buying a gift certificate for somebody. Which, don't ever do that, by the way. That's not a good deal. But okay, I guess before we get started, Greg, you had some earth-shattering Star Trek news.
I did.
Or we could just move along.
Do you not?
Yeah, you said they had announced the casting. I was going to let you unveil that.
Well, now that you've put me on the spot, man, Okay, well, yes, I do have new news. It turns out they've picked out a Captain Kirk finally, and it's
At last,
at long last. We were all waiting.
So I can breathe again? Because I've been holding my breath this whole time.
and it's going to be Matt Damon.
No,
Matt Damon.
not Matt Damon. Chris Pine.
Yes!
Oh, well, he was my
that
second
is what
choice.
I wanted,
Yeah.
yes!
Who,
I win
who
20
is
bucks.
Chris Pine?
Yeah, who is Chris Pine? I don't
This
know
guy,
who you're talking
I
about.
looked this guy up on IMDb, and the only thing that I saw that he was in that I even recognized was this crappy Lindsay Lohan movie.
Does he look
What
like
is
Kirk?
going on? He looks all right. He looks like he played Kirk, but I don't know. Does he have the chops?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he has that overacting skill. He looks kind of.
Yeah, that's what really, like, you have to have like an inexplicable charisma that excuses sometimes bad acting.
Got to have a certain amount of swagger, I think.
But
Yeah, you got to really be able to play it.
But according
Like,
to
if I think I can punch you in the face.
Does he look old enough to be captain of a ship? If he's been in a Lindsay Lohan movie, it makes me think he's a
Well,
young
these
guy.
are the younger years for them.
He kind of doesn't. No, he looks like he's about maybe 25. But you know,
But that's
Kirk was
the
in
time
his-
setting of the movie, though.
Well,
Yeah, I
Kirk was
suppose.
captain of the ship at 25.
Well, in the apparently in the storyline, he's supposed to be like the youngest captain ever. You know, like fresh out of Starfleet
But
Academy.
isn't he like 30 in the original TV show? I mean, he's not old in that show.
No, but even in the TV show, he was supposed to be the youngest captain ever.
Yeah, he was captain of the flagship of the fleet or whatever in the show, and he was only like 30. So I believe he could have been captain at 25.
I think it's strange that they've chosen a nobody, not a nobody, he's a person, but a no name for Kirk.
I guess that's the way. I thought that they were going to try to get known people for this, but I guess not.
I bet they figured it was the only safe thing they could do because I mean, if you think about it, you know, Captain Kirk. I mean, that's kind of like trying to cast Superman. You know,
Well, and maybe that's what
famous
they were
person
thinking.
Are you going to get?
Yeah, but they got that
Matt
guy
Damon.
for they got the guy for Spock that people know.
But he's not famous.
Well,
like I
he's
mentioned
nerd
that
famous.
to like my cousin who's never seen Heroes, and he had no idea who he was.
really?
You know, because he's never seen that one show.
Heroes is really
that's the
it's
secret.
cracking me up how desperately Heroes is bringing in every nerd person they can. Now they've got the original original Star Trek people. They've got that one girl last week from that.
They had a guy from the Enterprise Star Trek show is on this show now. That's how bad it is.
What's that show?
Well, they know.
Veronica
I guess they know
Mars or
who
something?
their audience is. You know what's funny to me? If you ever watch Boston Legal, they have a lot of Star Trek people in their show.
I guess because they had the Shatner.
I
guess
wonder
so,
if
maybe.
there was some of the producers on these shows are big Star Trek nerds, and they just try to sneak this stuff
It
in.
may be some of the same producers.
Yeah.
We'd have to look that up, but I mean, it's a few years down the road, so maybe not. But a lot of the shows that you see now, it's like if it's a genre show, they've got a lot of the same writers and producers of other genre shows that you've seen that may or may not have lasted.
Boston Legal had a cool nerd moment a couple of weeks ago where William Shatner opened a cell phone and it did that little.
Oh Lord!
Thing.
I didn't know that show was still on, but God bless him.
Oh, it's a great show.
God bless the Shatner.
So
hell, the Shatner.
we have a Kirk now. Is anyone remaining, or are they going to start shooting finally?
I think they can go. If we've got Kirk and we've got, I think they haven't announced a McCoy yet, but surely he's not the holdout. If we've got a Kirk, we're ready to put this thing on film. I think. I mean, how long? What are we doing here? Just make the movie already. All that build up, and it's a guy I've never heard of playing Kirk. You might as well just go ahead and make the movie.
According to StarTrek.com, he has been in. He was in Smoking Aces, which I've.
According to StarTrek.com, he's like one of the up and coming sexy hot actors.
Yeah,
Like,
whatever.
geez, are you guys representing him?
Like you have to
Lord.
sell people that are already on
I know.
StarTrek.com to come see the
Apparently
movie.
Well, if he's on the
starring-
Hollywood hot list, then that's exactly who I want to portray Kirk.
Apparently, he's starring opposite George Clooney in a movie called White Jazz.
Oh, that sounds like
Never
a
heard
lot
of
of
it.
fun.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for the big news.
that sounds like a hoot and a holler.
Well, I don't know.
All
Yeah,
right.
I mean, I have to admit, I'm curious to see the movie, but I don't know. It's
The next big news, I guess, will be when they release a title or a release date or something.
Yeah. I have a feeling that the title will be
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Just plain Star
This
Trek.
is my feeling.
Not Star Trek the early
Yeah.
years.
Yeah, none of that Star Trek Begins or any of that nonsense. Star Trek Requiem. They're doing an Aliens versus Predator sequel, and it's called Aliens versus Predator Requiem.
Why on earth are
Really?
they trying to make that pretentious, of all things? Like, what? There is nothing artsy about that.
That's where they keep going wrong. Like Freddy versus Jason was so awesome because it was just fun. Alien versus Predator, they always try to make it something a lot cooler. You know, just go
You
with
can't
it.
have verses in your title and be pretentious at the same time.
That's true. It's like, you know, Frankenstein versus the Wolfman's awesome, but, you know, come on. You know, it is what it is.
Oh, by the way, it's not Alien, it's AVP.
Yeah, AVP.
I still, to this day, I'm angry at
Requiem.
Terminator 2 for that. For making all the new
I
titles.
know they
just-
started that in
yeah.
every movie. Like even Independence Day was ID4.
Yeah, everything has to
Come
have
on,
a-
man.
What do you call those?
And that was the beginning. That's where it all started. And now all these kids with the text messaging, and now people. My boss is sending me emails that saying, "I need you to do this before the end of the day." It's like, good lord, I work for a guy that's not
You can't
literate.
spell out the word before. Too much in a hurry. Too
Before.
fast. Gotta go.
I know when he writes U, he writes U, the letter U, not Y-O-U. It's like, come on, you know, spell it out,
I
Prince.
don't have time to
I think I
write those
get it.
other two letters. That is inefficient.
No.
Well, that's why tonight's show is so interesting, is because everybody is trying to get faster.
Yeah, I think
And-
that's where, you know, commercials have gotten to the point where they're real clever. I mean, the money they put into them as far as like special effects, and they're a lot of them are really funny, and they're getting to the point where people see a commercial and they're like, "Oh, this!" It's like a show they like to watch. And it's like when you have a cereal commercial where you have like they keep coming back to the same concepts. It's like little shows. And that's really, it's fascinating to me as from a marketing perspective, but it's also kind of scary because it shows how, as a society, we're looking for shorter and shorter entertainment. Now we're looking for 30-second entertainment.
I don't think that's what it's about at all. I have a different theory as to why that's happening. Would you like to know my theory?
Yes, I expected the theory to follow thusly.
Well, I thought you were gonna.
I expected you to cut me off, Sean, as usual.
My theory is as follows. It's because of TiVo. You know, people, they tape their shows, they see the commercial, go boop, 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 right past all of them. And the commercial makers know this, companies, corporations know this. So they said, well, if we got to get their attention somehow. So maybe if we can make commercials that are entertaining, when people are scanning through, they'll see it. They'll stop and go, oh, the cavemen, I like the cavemen. And they'll watch the commercial. In other words, they had to step it up a notch to compete because it's so easy to skip over these things now.
That's pretty optimistic if that's true.
And some commercials, like the cavemen commercials, are people like them so much that you can find them on YouTube. I mean, people are watching them intentionally now, not just as a commercial while they're watching Heroes or whatever, but they actually go out of their way to search out this commercial because it's funny.
But it's interesting though, because the advertisers will tell you that commercials are dead.
Yeah, I don't see that as being true at all.
Well, clearly that's not true though, because they're still making them.
Well, I think the truly creative commercials, still have life, but as far as ad revenue coming from 30-second commercials in television, it's sort of leveling off. People are going to the net.
It might not be the good old days anymore, but I still believe it's strong. They're having to innovate.
I think so too. I mean, I think it's more like you said, more intelligent the commercials are now.
Well, I think you just have to watch the Super Bowl to see that there's still life there, because people actually in the news will talk about, here's some of the new Super Bowl commercials that came out. Like we're waiting for the release of these new commercials, like it's something interesting.
Yeah, who cares about the football game?
Yeah, that's a big story.
Yeah, that's the summer release of commercials, is to come out at the Super Bowl. There are a lot of funny ones. I think if they do it right, there's a lot of commercials that I see that I think are really enjoyable. Like I actually Burger King used to do those commercials about the guys in the office, and it's got the guy from Talk Soup was like the boss.
I didn't like those.
I liked him. There were several of them that I thought were really funny.
I actually did like the other Burger King commercials, the really creepy ones.
Cock
they just
Rock.
had the king guy, the weird guy in the king suit, just do weird
That
things.
guy, I
like
love
just
that
standing outside
guy.
the window or whatever.
That guy, I wish I had the whole outfit, because that creeps me out completely. He wakes up and he turns over and the kid's like in the bed with him.
Yeah.
Like, jeez.
And they're holding hands or whatever. Let's see how clever that is, though, because we're talking about Burger King.
Yeah, because it's got everyone talks about, even when they talk about, man, those commercials creep me out. They all know, because there's a lot of clever commercials that afterwards you don't know what they're for, but those you know exactly when they're talking about the king, like he represents Burger King, and it's a Burger King commercial.
And that's what it's all about. It really doesn't really even matter about the food that the king is selling. It's about Burger King.
No, not even at all. All fast food is the same.
There's that one where they're this isn't a Burger King, but talk about creepy. It's like a chewing gum thing, I think. And the guy's got the chewing gum, and they're learning how to do CPR on these dummies. And he goes to blow into the dummy's mouth, and the dummy smells the gum or something and gets up and starts chasing him. Have you ever seen that?
No. That one's awful.
It's really horribly creepy. He's just running down the street, and his dummy's full tear coming after him, trying to steal his gum or breath mint or whatever it was.
See, that's probably why that one
Never
wasn't
mind.
around that long. That sounds terrifying.
It was. It really was.
I don't want to
But
see
I
that
liked
at
it,
all.
'cause I'm like, what a bizarre idea. My favorite of the new crop of these, what I think typifies. Am I making up words?
No, that works. Typify
Anyway.
is a word.
The one that typifies the new crop is the caveman commercials. These Geico caveman commercials said they have actually made a TV show of.
Well, yeah, that were so popular that they've actually made a TV show out of it.
That was and I meant to find this and send it to you, but I didn't. But I did actually manage to find this pilot and watch it, and it's about the weirdest damn thing I've ever seen. It's not funny
Not
at
in
all.
a good way.
It's no. First of all, what was charming about the caveman commercials was they had these guys playing the caveman, and none of those guys are in the show. They basically just took the caveman concept and decided to run with it.
Well, that's a shame.
And they got new people, and one of the guys, I swear, is one of the guys who's always panning celebrities on Best Week Ever.
Oh, I don't doubt that at all. Those guys will do anything for money.
So I don't get those. So I watched this whole first episode just going, whoa, this is weird. Because there's a lot of the same plot lines and ideas that were in the commercials. Like the main character starts dating a human, like Homo sapien woman or whatever, and they deal with prejudice and what have you and all that. But I'm like, man, if you stripped away the cavemen, this wouldn't even be remotely funny. It's all juxtapositional humor, and it wears off. At 30 seconds a pop, like in those commercials, they're really funny. But at 30 minutes, it just becomes weird.
It's not the length that makes those commercials work. It's the performances. Those guys are really funny.
Well, that's what made it a shame. I think there was one guy in the show who was like a peripheral character who was one of the guys from the commercials. But it was like that main guy in the commercials is what's funny.
Oh, both those dudes.
But I just don't see how something like that,
I think it was just I think if they had tried to be funny. It seems to me like they were actually probably going after more of a morality play about prejudice. It seems,
Do you remember the first commercial?
As a satire.
Yeah.
That's what I thought was cool, was that the first commercial was just a straight up stupid joke where they're like on a set and the guy's like, so dumb, even a caveman can do it. Then they cut to the camera crew and there's a guy holding a boom mic and he's like, not cool, man, not cool. And that was it. And then I guess someone saw that and like, that's actually pretty funny. Let's see what we can do with this. And then it became this really elaborate thing where
when they're in the restaurant, that's the funniest
So
one.
easy, a caveman could do it.
Seriously, we apologize. We had no idea you guys were still around.
Yeah, next time maybe do a little research.
Gentlemen, are we ready to order?
I'll have the roast duck with the mango salsa. I don't have much of an appetite, thank you.
it's great because they're so sophisticated and cosmopolitan, but they're cavemen. That's why it's so funny.
But they try to do that in the show, and it doesn't work at all.
Because they don't have, it's all about the performance, man.
They don't have the joie de vivres to make it work.
On a sort of related note, when I'm talking about performance, have you seen the Sonic commercials? Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
There's different ones. There's a whole range of them, actually, but they're all take place in a car.
Yeah, and they run the spectrum from really bad to just kind of bad.
You're talking about the ones where the couple or they're sitting in the car.
Yeah.
And
then they got the two obviously gay guys who won't admit it.
Now, okay, the two guy ones are the most popular, I think, and I don't like them. I don't think they're funny.
What's funny, though, is those two guys were the first ones, and then after a while they started going to couples because they realized, like, these guys are hanging out a little too much. When they got the some more thing, he's like, "Can I get some more?" That one guy, I'm not gonna say they both are, but that one guy has feelings he hasn't revealed to the other yet. that I'm certain of.
Well, that's the storyline they're working on.
Yeah, they're
the
building
couples,
to that.
the guy and the girl. I think those guys are really funny. Like I
don't think the husband is funny, but I think the wife is really funny.
Well, he sets her up really well, though. They work well together.
I think they're kind of funny because they actually kind of say things that husbands and wives say to each other.
Nothing better on a hot summer day than this peach iced tea.
You know, if you mix up the letters in tea, you can spell eat, which is funny because you don't eat a tea, you drink it.
You know, if you mix up the letters in Brian, you get brain, which is weird.
Yeah.
It's you.
Peach tea. Sonic's got it, others don't.
I mean, they're obviously over the top with it. They're just so mean to each other. It's so cruel. It's funny.
But laughing while they're doing it. It's like, oh, yeah, you really are a prick.
I like that he's such a moron because he's not funny at all, and then she's kind of deadpan and kind of funny.
Oh, man.
I think that the girl,
I think she's great.
I think the actress in those commercials is funny because I don't think any of them are written funny.
Well, you know, they're not written at all. I looked this up online. They're all completely improv. And the ones with the two dudes are like that too. All those Sonic commercials are improv, where they just sit in a car and they just make stuff up, and whatever happens.
That actually makes me feel better about it because that actually makes it a little bit more. Because to think someone sat down and wrote that down, because that'll show you why some of them are funnier and some are not. Because the guy who's sort of straight in the gay couple ones. The clearly gay guy always sits on the right, but the one on the left, I'm sorry, the one who's always driving too, he's kind of funny. So I could see, and the other guy's not funny at all. So that makes sense now.
So the gay guy actually sits on the left side of the car.
Well, it depends on which direction you're facing.
Exactly. He's in the passenger seat. That's what I'm saying. He's never driving.
Well, see, now I'm starting to put the sign. It's kind of like watching Sixth Sense. I'm putting all the little pieces together.
Yeah, really. If you notice, they never actually talk to each other.
So the Caveman show the Caveman commercials spawned a TV show. But the Sonic commercials have spawned something else, a whole different kind of monster, because I looked on YouTube trying to find the ones that I really like so I could put audio of them on the show here. And I can't find the ones I really like. I found some. But what I found about 500 million of are spoofs that people in their houses are making. Apparently, it's this huge thing on YouTube where let's make a Sonic commercial. And they go sit in the car and then they act like the Sonic guys. There are so many of them that Sonic's actually got a contest now, an official contest where you make your own Sonic commercial and they might show it on air or whatever.
I guess that shows the brilliance, because not only is that a real cheap ad campaign to have produced, but since it spawned this kind of interest, I guess, much as I say I don't like them, I guess it's really effective because we're saying Sonic. We know what they're advertising, too.
I'm surprised you don't think that the couple ones are funny. I really am.
I think the woman is funny, but I think the guy is incredibly irritating.
You might not have seen the best one, so.
I like the couple ones, too.
The one where they actually get in a fight and they're drinking their milkshakes and they're saying, when these milkshakes are over, we're going to fight, but the milkshakes are so good, they're going to wait. And she's like, I'm going to yell at you. And then he goes, so much darkness. You're missing the good stuff. I couldn't find that one to send to you.
I haven't seen that, so maybe that's playing in limited markets right now.
I enjoy those commercials. Whenever I see them, I'm like, I turn it up. Just same thing with the caveman. Every time I see one of those cavemen, I'm like, ooh, I want to hear this. Hush. And then, Snapple commercial.
That's the same way. The messing with Sasquatch. Have you seen those?
Yeah.
The jerky
yeah,
commercials.
those are good too.
Some of those are pretty good. Because, why do they do it? Every time it's the same punchline where they mess with them, and while they're walking away running, he just comes and slams one of them
it's
up
so
against
horrible.
the tree.
That's why it's funny. Breaking their arms
That
and legs
first one
and
was
stuff.
the best, where he's just like, because it's like he knocks him into the air.
There was one where he comes out and clotheslines some guy. I think that's the one where they
best
put
one.
shaving cream in his hand.
Yeah.
And every time it just goes horribly. It's like you'd think we'd get tired of this, where they're in the car and like, hey, come on, I'm sorry. Come on, want to ride?
What is that one advertising?
It's some kind of jerky, but that's what makes it not good, because it's a jerky I've never heard of.
See, that's what's weird is that some commercials, like the cavemen stuff, you remember Geico right away. And you remember Sonic because of
why?
Sonic. But
Because they work on both of them. They work the name into the script.
yeah.
That's what makes those commercials not effective as advertisements, because they're entertaining, but they never say until the thing is over, they never say what it is they're advertising. You got to work it in.
Yeah.
Like Sonic works in the name, the Geico works in the name,
Yeah.
kind of brilliantly, because they're actually arguing against Geico.
Yeah, and I like
In the context
when the
of
guy
the show.
actually signs up for Geico and the other caveman gives him some trouble for it.
Don't worry about those guys.
I am just so sick of this.
Dude, what do you expect? You went with Geico.com. What, to save some money?
It's my life, okay?
Just a little loyalty would be nice, that's all.
What? Having Geico makes me less of a caveman?
Tina's here. We're getting back together.
Hey, give us a minute.
That's awesome.
Well, see, that's what makes that funny. And the guy comes in and is like, my girlfriend called, we'll get back together.
Tina's here. We're getting back together.
And that's a whole thing. In the TV show, they try to work that in, where one of them is distraught over a breakup. It's like, but it doesn't work at all. It's stupid.
Now, here's an example of a series of commercials that are supposed to be funny, but I find horribly irritating. And, of course, since I find these irritating, Sean will be like, those are awesome, because he doesn't like my Sonic ones. But those Sierra Mist
That's
commercials that have all the comedians
No, I don't
in
like
them,
those.
you know what I'm talking
Michael
about?
Ian Black, man. For some reason, I liked him in The State, but nothing else.
They have, like, the entire cast of any given VH1 show. Like, remember the 80s? The entire cast of that show is in these commercials.
Is that the one where they keep trying to
I
steal
know.
his Sierra Mist? Like he goes through the airport
Yeah,
screener
and it's always
all that?
lame.
It's not funny at all.
He's never funny. And Jim Gaffigan, I think, is funny in other situations, but I find them very put on and very and not entertaining at
And
all.
what is up with that? How do they get these guys that have all been funny in the past in something or another, some capacity or another?
I don't think they're right. They're just writing commercials and they get recognizable faces and they think, oh, if these guys are doing it, then people will take it as funny.
Maybe. I guess it's effective in that I remember the Sierra Mist part of it. I remember that's what it's called. I couldn't remember that jerky commercials, even though I liked those. But
like those Burger King commercials worked. Even the Office ones work because they're always talking about Burger King products.
Yeah.
And I thought they were funny. Like the guy, he's talking about, I'm thinking of a number from 1 to 10. It's like 4, you're fired.
now, see, that's kind of cute.
Instantly, you're fired. And bonus, if you guys want to see that girl from the Burger King commercials naked every week, watch the HBO show Tell Me You Love Me. Good God. She's naked in a way that you don't see girls naked in TV shows very often.
So I need to sign up for HBO is what you're telling me.
What? You said naked and I woke up. What?
Yeah, wait a minute. I just tuned in. Hold on. I can see the Burger King girl naked.
I'm not even sure what you're talking about with the Burger King girl. I don't.
You can see that girl Kama Sutra naked in Tell Me You Love Me. Oh, that HBO show? which is supposedly about a mature show about relationships, but just seems to be about people of all different ages and walks of life balling each other in every conceivable way, I think.
So a family show then.
Well, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. Well, while we were talking about this, I only just now put the connection together that the girl from that show was the girl in those Burger King commercials, but it's true. You remember the Mike's Hard Lemonade commercials? Those were awesome, and I don't know what happened, but they were really good for a while. Where there's one where the guy's walking around and aliens just come out of the sky and they steal his girlfriend and run off. And while he's watching this girlfriend carry this alien carry his girlfriend off, this guy walks up and is like, "Man, that sucks." It's like, "Yeah, I really liked her." And in the meantime, you can still see the girl. She's still screaming off into the sunset. He's like, "Well, here, try a Mike's Hard Lemonade."
I did see that one. I remember that.
I saw one where a guy got his arm ripped off, and the guy was like, "Oh, yeah, that must hurt." Yeah, kind of smart. Well, here, have a Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Yeah, those were
thanks.
funny. And where he's like, "What's wrong, Bob?" I'm like, "I seem to have grown a second evil head."
Yikes.
Those were great for a while, and then they just disappeared.
They're definitely getting more sophisticated in their humor, more subtle with things. I like that. Just last week, I mentioned Blades of Glory or whatever. I on the special features of that, they talked to the two directors, and apparently this is their first movie, but they've done commercials all this time. They're commercial directors, and now this is their first movie. So it is interesting that commercial guys are moving into comedies now.
That's an interesting thing. That's the first I've ever, not that it's the first at a time it's ever happened, but that is the first case I've ever heard of a commercial people. Because you think of, a lot of these copywriters for commercials are really funny. You got to think someone's out there seeing it going, "That guy's funny. Would he be funny
Yeah,
writing,
I would think
like,
so.
a
I'd
show
hire some of these dudes.
or a movie?" That guy, because really, Edgar Allan Poe used to say writing the short story was the hardest thing ever to write because, in brevity, you have to be brilliant.
Well, I dare say that probably a lot of people who work in advertising. Matter of fact, when I worked in advertising, it's kind of the way it was. Is that the people who work in advertising are all frustrated filmmakers and screenwriters and people of that nature. They got into it, myself included. They got into it because they couldn't get paid making movies, and so naturally those types of people have.
Well, maybe that's why we're seeing so much talent in commercials now, because that's a relatively recent thing, this generation of would-be filmmakers coming up. You got to have a lot of those guys that didn't get their shot there that are probably pouring into, smaller markets. And advertising being one of those smaller markets. As an entertainment, smaller. Where there's money to be made, it's probably a bigger market. I obviously like that Snicker. Do you see the panda? That Snicker Panda commercial? Where the guy's like got his whole office corner. He's like, "Who wants to go out to lunch? Everybody want to go out to lunch? Go out with Mr. Panda. Look at me, I'm so pretty." It's got the picture of the panda, and they're all just kind of hiding till he goes away. Like if you need to hide somewhere for a while, eat a Snicker bar because he's right outside their window going, "You know what pandas eat? They eat bamboo."
That sounds awesome. I want to see.
Oh man, that's a hilarious. You gotta try to YouTube that one. That one is awesome because you can just say that to people and it's funny.
One thing I know we wanted to mention tonight is that in a historical kind of reference, this isn't the first time, this caveman show thing isn't the first time that a commercial is broken through barriers of being, is it a commercial? Is it a show? What is it? We were going to talk about the weirdness of the Max Headroom phenomenon. For those of you old enough to remember that.
Oh, yeah.
This is a multi-layered phenomenon because Max Headroom didn't start out as a commercial. It actually started out as a movie. And this is really weird. Like when the Max Headroom movie came out, it was like a British movie, and that's what created the character. And that movie was relatively obscure until somewhere along the line, Coca-Cola just decided this character was weird enough and just totally 80s enough. What's a bigger 80s icon than Max Headroom?
Oh yeah, no doubt. He's got the Wayfarers and the weird hair design.
And he's in all these commercials, and that's what spawned the show, which is based on the original movie.
And he ended up doing they ended up doing a lot of things with him because he actually even had a talk show.
Oh yeah, on Cinemax it was.
It was Cinemax.
I used to watch that when I was a kid, man. I loved the Max Headroom show. I mean, they really blurred the line between. Max Headroom had a memoir. I remember, I actually have it somewhere. I read the Max Headroom, Guide to Life.
Nerd alert.
Talk about blurring the line.
I'm sorry,
Max
guys,
Headroom
that is a nerd alert.
Yeah, that's a nerd alert. We haven't done a movie from the vault, but we definitely have a nerd alert.
Well, I mean, I think Sean and I both are big Max Headroom fans, and
I am a Max Headroom nerd. I am a Max Headroom nerd.
Yeah, me too. And for a lot of reasons, for the commercials, but also, and we could talk about this in some other episode, but how actually how the TV show has actually kind of become somewhat true to life.
Yeah, it was prescient in a lot of ways.
The way the media companies operate and that kind of thing is really, it's kind of came true in some ways.
Well, I remember, and I think it's the movie. This was the plot of the movie where they had these advertisements called blipverts in the movie, and they were like half a second long. They were like put a whole ad in your head subliminally, and they were making people's heads explode and stuff. But that's sort of an indicator of where society is headed, because we are becoming, our fascination with the commercials, I really do believe, is becoming more and more about short attention span. I know that it also is represented in the fact that more talent is going into the commercials than probably used to, but I think people are enjoying entertainments that last almost no time.
I guess, movies have gotten a lot shorter than they used to be. Of course, now they're going the opposite direction, making them these huge, long movies for no reason. But the average movie's shorter than the average movie used to be.
Well, they can't decide. Like, your average movie is still around 90 minutes or less, but every now and then they want to make something epic, but it's not an epic. They just make it long, and they think being long makes it an epic. Like the King Kong movie. Just being long doesn't make it epic.
So there is some truth to that. I see what you're saying. But tell me more about Max Headroom, because I don't remember there being a Cinemax show.
You don't remember the talk show. It was probably sort of short-lived, but in the height of Max Headroom's...
How did that work, though? Because all that stuff had to be pre-produced, right? His little sync...
Well, I assume that it was all... I assume it was all... Matt Frewer, who plays Max Headroom, did the actual interviews and stuff.
And then they went back later and added all the little sound effects.
Because that really, he's still working. You still see him and stuff.
Oh, yeah. He was in Dawn of the Dead recently. Remember that?
Yeah.
He was in Dawn of the Dead. He's in a show right now on Sci-Fi called Eureka. But he's still... And if it weren't for Max Headroom, none of that would have happened. I like Matt Frewer a lot. But that's
I do
what
too,
it's all
actually,
about.
it was kind of a letdown when I found out that Max Headroom was not a computer-generated person.
It was not real. What's weird is in the 80s, and especially when we were young, it seemed somewhat feasible that Max Headroom might actually be real in some way. And I guess that's what made Max Headroom interesting to people, because CGI stuff was not very popular back then, and he was sort of this odd representation of what... Because in the movie Max Headroom, what happens is Matt Frewer's character, Edison Carter, is a reporter. And he's reporting on all this stuff that the big company doesn't want people to know about.
Edison Carter, Anderson Cooper.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Interesting, yeah. So, well, he was also replaced with a CGI.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of
After
people don't know
Katrina.
that. Watch very carefully.
But,
Just like Max Headroom,
it's true, though. You can look it up.
Kind of sink a little bit, get off sync a little bit.
It's
just
on
jerk a
the
little bit every now and then,
Wikipedia.
like it's missing some frames.
Look him up on Wikipedia. Call me a liar. It's right there. It must be true. But anyway, so he is in an accident because they're trying to get rid of him, and they decide to replace him with a CGI model that will sort of report as him. And what they accidentally create is this Max Headroom character, who is not anything like him but sort of favors him. And it's this weird, artificial intelligence that takes on a mind of its own. But back in the 80s, you imagine that was possible. If you were going to try to create like digitized representations of people, it would turn out sort of like, where his head was kind of weird and he didn't have defined hair, and he was all computer generated looking, and he sort of had this weird like broken record tech where he's trying to talk and he's sort of like repeat. And what an interesting and innovative character, an idea. Max Headroom, I don't know. There aren't a lot of ideas like that come around very often that are that interesting and clever and sort of original. And I think that's why he struck a chord.
Yeah, but it's kind of odd that a lot of people don't remember it now.
They remember the Coke commercials, I bet.
Well,
I think
most
those are
people
still
only
meant
knew him from
remember.
those Coke commercials. He
I
did
guess
like a
so.
song with Art of Noise, you know.
Yeah.
He was like a perfect. He's like what makes Max Headroom awesome is he peaked like every other '80s celebrity. And so like you could totally do like, you know how they did like Hollywood Squares or something. Alf was on it or something. You know? And Alf got a talk show. You could do the same thing
Alf
with Max
had a talk
Headroom
show?
now. It's like
I remember when Max was on David Letterman. That they had like a TV screen parked next to Letterman.
What a strange time to be alive. I don't remember most of this. But
Well, it's
how
awesome,
weird that
man.
must have been for someone like an actual adult watching that stuff. Because, you know, as kids, you'd watch anything. You wouldn't think twice about it. But to see something like that on Letterman now, it'd be very strange. Or a talk show like that.
yeah, especially back in
Well,
those
nowadays
days.
you wouldn't think anything about it because there actually are computer-generated characters out there.
Well, Anderson Cooper.
Well,
yeah, like Anderson Cooper.
Let's
see. What are some other good? Do you remember the crash test dummy commercials?
Yeah, I never really liked those. Didn't they make a TV show out of that
They weren't
too?
good at all, but they also had a cartoon
cartoon.
and toys, and they got into trouble with people because, you know, they were PSAs.
Yeah.
And when they had toys and a cartoon, all of a sudden, you know, people can't run them as PSAs because, you know, they're nonprofit. So the crash test dummies disappeared.
And they weren't even that funny, so I'm kind of curious how they got to be so popular.
I guess it was just such an image to put forward.
Or maybe standards were a little lower a few years back.
Oh, I don't know. You know who I wish they would bring back? You remember Mac Tonight from McDonald's?
Oh Lord, the big moon-headed guy.
Where he had the big moon head.
That came after
was
Max
awesome.
Headroom, but not by much, right?
Somewhere it was got to be around the same time.
Yeah.
I didn't really like the Mac Tonight stuff. I didn't really get what was special about that. I thought it was kind of annoying that they were stealing that Mac the Knife song and making this bizarre big-headed moon dude out of it. I guess they
I
were
think
trying
he
to
looked
appeal
cool, though.
to grown-ups, but whatever.
I think it was kind of a neat campaign, and I think they may still be using the character.
I wish that I knew, like, somewhere along the line, because when Mac Tonight was around, my dad was actually managing a McDonald's, and he brought us home like a big Mac Tonight, and it was one of the the inserts that was like the picture of Mac Tonight, but actually had like the menu stuff on it. I was like, I wish I still had that. I wonder if that's somewhere around, because that was cool.
That'd be weird to put up on the wall.
I would love that, because I loved Mac Tonight. Still do.
I know I'm changing the subject here, but as I'm sitting here, I'm watching an Insight commercial. Yeah, this is Bob.
Yeah. Why is Bob smiling like a crazy person? Because there isn't any blood running to his brain. Because he has a 4-foot hard-on. Why is Bob so pale?
All right, then.
And smiling like a jack-o'-lantern.
Whoa.
I'm sorry, I just had to break in with that because that's probably a very well-known commercial these days now too. Is good old Bob. Bob who keeps losing his shorts and impressing the neighborhood.
I know, and everyone smiles, even though he's ugly as sin. He looks like a foot. The Family Guy thing. He looks like a foot. Oh, he reminds me of that guy from that commercial where he's like, "How do I live like this? Because I'm in debt up to my eyeballs." That's a good commercial because it totally. Talk about encapsulating America. We all get that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Somebody please help me.
It seems like commercials are kind of following the same track as any other form of entertainment in that there's about 5% of the funny commercials that are funny and 95% that aren't. And I'd say sitcoms probably have about that same ratio, so I guess it makes sense.
Sure. Well, because in any group of entertainment professionals, you have a small percentage of people who are actually talented, and you have a larger percentage of people who are trying to behave as though they are. And that's true in commercials, it's true in TV shows, it's true in movies. There's a small percentage of every entertainment medium that's actually entertaining.
And in this scenario, in case you're wondering, that's Brooks.
Yeah, well, of course.
Yeah. Well, you're the weak link.
Goodbye.
Or were you the strong link? Wait a second. Am I the Sonic guy?
I think the Sonic guy is
Crap.
funny. So maybe I'm the Sonic guy. Right?
Oh, wait a second. Then I'm one of the slow skis.
Yeah.
I'm one of those Comcast commercials.
I like
Slowskis.
those, man.
The slow skis, I think, are funny. The little turtle puppets. I like turtles and I like puppets.
Yeah, I think they're cute.
Do you remember the one that Mountain Dew had a Davy and Goliath, like the old claymation Davy and Goliath characters?
You got hosed
in one?
all day.
Yeah, that was the best. Where the dad's just like, well, let me see, and he drinks the whole Mountain Dew. Like, we got hosed, Tommy.
That was cute.
We got hosed.
That was real cute.
That's the funniest. Some of them are funny just for lines, because Comcast has got a couple of ones with the digital voice ones are pretty funny. We're like, but now I'm calling you on my Comcast digital voice. Sorry, Roger, you tiger now. You tiger now. Tattoo's permanent.
That was great.
But I'm calling you with Comcast digital voice. Sorry, you tiger now.
In all for realness, the first probably 30 times I saw that commercial, I always caught the second half after he says about the tattoos. And I just heard him sitting there, and he's like, but I've got Comcast. I was like, what is going on? I don't get this at all. It wasn't until I heard that he was calling a tattoo place that it made sense for me.
Another one like that where you kind of have to pay attention is the one for the cell phones, where the guy is talking to somebody else, but they don't hear the last
I like
part of the
those
conversation.
actually. Yeah,
those are really clever. Some of those are really funny. Yeah. Where it's like, "Would your wife eat them all for breakfast?" It's just like dead silence on the other end. It's so awkward, and they're really clever because you see the other person and how they're like, he's guffawing like a madman, but it's all mute.
I like the one where the girl gets the flowers and she's talking to her friend, and she's like, "Yeah." He probably got him because he's cheating on me or something. And then the friend starts laughing, but you can't hear. And she's like, you don't think he's... And she's like, oh my God. That's my favorite, that little thing she does.
That's funny. Was it Domino's that was doing all those? Domino's does a lot of weird delivery commercials.
Whatever happened to the Noid?
Oh, I hated the Noid.
What's that?
Yeah, talk about not funny.
No, yeah, I don't remember
Talk about not cool. The only funny thing that ever happened with the Noid was when... that he was on Family Guy, and he brought the pizza late to Adam West, and Adam West just beats the crap out of him in a horribly violent way, just kills him. And he's like, maybe the Noid should have avoided me. It was so horrible.
I like those guys. Their references is just out of control.
The Family Guy's great. Who remembers that stuff? I mean, it's just kind of,
Well, that's what those guys. They're in charge of remembering everything.
That's true. They remember for me, so I don't have to.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm surprised at how many funny commercials there are. Now, the more you guys keep mentioning, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one, too.
Oh, they're all over the place. I could only think
of like a few at the beginning.
Remember the Quiznos commercials? When they had like that weird
They got the pepper bar.
Yeah. They got a pepper bar.
That was another one of those weird internet things where that guy started on the internet.
I actually missed those. Yeah, and then they turned them into Quiznos commercials.
So there's hope for us yet. Maybe one day we can be shilling something.
All it takes is one good idea, it seems like.
Which is apparently what we're incapable of coming up with.
And then it doesn't even have to be a good idea, just something that resonates, like the what's up wasn't funny.
Yeah, there's a lot of iconic things that I never got, like the Bud Wise or whatever. They made like 400
Yeah,
of
the
those.
frogs. What's up with them frogs? And then when the frogs got old, they're like, "Why about we bring in a lizard?" It's like, guys, can we come up with something that's not an amphibian?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of those things that end up becoming just pop culture. The one I'm thinking of now is California Raisins.
Oh, yeah, that was a huge icon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And they started getting TV specials and stuff. Man, they had an album. They had TV specials and an album.
Yeah, that's true. We should have made a top 10 just to go down, not to discuss in any length or detail, but maybe just a perfect 10 commercial icons, because I'd forgotten how many iconic figures from the past there were. I don't think we have those now, do we?
I can do that right now. Let's see. The Crying Indian. Remember the...
Yeah, they still use that all the time. Yeah. They did it on The Daily Show, or actually on Colbert Report.
That is true.
Just 2-3 nights ago, they had the Crying Indian. So anytime you talk about littering...
Well, that is an icon, definitely.
Give a hoot, don't pollute. I mean, all those PSAs from the late 70s. So, yeah,
McGruff.
Come to mind very quickly.
McGruff is weird now that he's computer generated. He kind of freaks me out.
I don't like the new McGruff.
He has a different voice and all that.
I'm not sure I'd call him an icon, but not up there with...
He was an icon, but now he's an imposter.
Yeah. Got Spuds McKenzie. You've got the California Raisins,
Where's the beef?
I definitely would count as one.
What about the Where's the Beef lady?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Where's the beef?
Clara Peller.
Awesome.
That might be a nerd alert. I'm gonna have to check with the judges on that.
Might be.
It's definitely a weird alert.
We may need to come up with a new alarm.
Why do you know that?
I don't know, because they talked about her. Yeah, she got in trouble. She actually got fired from Wendy's because she did another commercial for, I think, spaghetti sauce or something, where she found the beef and she goes, "I found it."
Oh,
so she got fired.
yeah.
from
I can
Wendy's.
understand them getting mad about that.
I could see they're being upset about that. You know, well, Orville Redenbacher, would he be a commercial icon?
Talk about freak show,
they've
man.
brought
Have you seen
him
the new
back.
Orville Redenbacher
Yeah.
commercials where they got the guy in the makeup? I mean, that's just
No, I
freaky.
think it's computer generated. I don't think it's a guy.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, from what I read about this online, they've actually computer generated an Orville
Why? That's horrible.
because they think that people respond to that image, but they want to talk about current things.
Awful. That weirds me out completely.
Oh man, you want to talk about gross? And I'm tired of these. I'm tired of these Viagra, Levitra commercials where they show the girl in the bookstore at the bar, whatever, and she looks at the guy who's got the gray in his hair, so you know he's older, and she kind of makes this weird eyebrow thing and kind of nods at the door, and he goes, and follows her, and it's like, be ready. And it's like, that is so creepy to me when you see these old people
Be
just looking at each
ready.
other.
Yeah.
I mean, is that
Be ready
necessary?
to have sex with an underage stranger in a public place.
Yeah, I mean, it really does look like that. I mean, these aren't like an old couple holding each other on the front porch or something. They're just like, you know, be ready when you're at the bar and some young girl half your age actually wants to run off with you for some apparent reason.
is actually willing to touch you.
You know what else is embarrassing?
Make sure
Are
your
those
parts are
commercials for
working.
dudes. It just makes dudes look stupid. The commercials, or maybe girls, I don't know. The commercials where the guy's in the bookstore and he's holding a book and a girl comes up to him like, "Oh, hey," and then she sees dandruff or whatever. No,
The Twix.
gray in his hair. That's what it is. She sees gray and she's
Oh,
like,
okay.
"Ooh," and turns around and instantly leaves, like with this look of disgust on her face. Because then guys are like, "I'd better go buy this product because girls aren't going to talk to me if I have gray in my
Yeah,
hair."
really.
That's why girls haven't been approaching me in the bookstore. Every time I go to the bookstore, no girls approach me. Now I know.
I know it's wall to wall ass every time I go to the bookstore, but nothing's happening.
It's
I
the
guess
gray
it's
in my
because
hair.
I look old. That's the best.
I guess that's about it, guys. I hope we've managed to sell some major expensive corporate products to some people at no benefit to ourselves by
Oh, you know what
pimping out
I
their
just thought of
commercials
that
for
was
free.
awesome?
What?
Do you remember the A&W commercial where the guy was like, "I think I'm dumbass material all the
Oh
way."
yeah, the
You
name
think so,
is Dumas.
Mr. Dumbass? Just because they say dumbass like
Dumas.
50 times in a commercial.
I'm surprised.
Mr.
I kind
Dumbass.
of got a feeling like I can't believe that no one complained about that. there
That one
wasn't
didn't stay
some-
on very long. Maybe they did.
It seemed like
The
it
name
was.
is Dumas. Dumbass.
That is a good one.
That is a good one.
Go out and buy some A&W. Support that kind of thing. Buy
Yeah, drink some root beer.
buy
Support
some
funniness.
Geico or something. You know, I don't like the little gecko though. I don't like him. So if you go buy some, tell him that it's because of the caveman,
I
not
don't like
gecko.
the gecko since I changed his accent. You know,
He's
used
changed
to be-
voices like 3 times. That gecko is always like.
Geckos have a short lifespan, so they got to rotate them in and out. You know?
It's like switching out geckos.
They
So
just
maybe
toss
that's
them
what
out.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like a sweatshop spokespeople.
Well, right now they have a Cockney gecko, and
And when he starts
last time
asking
they
for
had,
too
like,
much
some guy.
money, they'll toss him in the pan and get a new one.
He's all hip and everything.
So
Yeah, I don't understand what it is. If that gecko gets his own show, I'm out.
So anyway, thanks for listening. Check out tv8mydinner.com. That's the website where you can find all of our past episodes and such. Check out darkcrazy.com. That's Sean's website. Check out gregstarks.com. That's Greg's MySpace page. You can see how popular he is with all these millions of friends. Check out
I'm down with the lady.
Yeah.
AKA the ladies, as he refers to them. The ladies.
check out bellswake.com. That's the band I'm in. And we'll see you next week. I'm Brooks.
I'm Sean.
I'm Greg. He's Sean.
Go buy
I said
some
that
stuff.
already.
Okay.
Dark Crazy.com